Welcome. So fantastic to see all of you. And such a wonderful panel to hear representing all across Red Hat's portfolio. So my name is Erin Boyd. I'm the Director of Emerging Technologies here at Red Hat. And part of my job is looking into the proverbial crystal ball to see what innovation we make bets on. But I sincerely believe that open source is the cheat code to that innovation. We have a whole community that helps guide us in what will be useful not only for our communities, our customers, our partners, but really society. So I'm really excited to talk with the panel today about the innovation that we're bringing from projects to products. And we're going to start with Kirsten. She's going to talk about security, introduce herself, and tell us, what are you most excited about coming into Summit?
Cool, thanks. So I'm Kirsten Newcomer, Director of Security Product Management for Hybrid Platforms at Red Hat. Excuse my scratchy voice, still recovering from laryngitis. So as Erin said, I've been focused on security since before joining Red Hat, but particularly focused on container and Kubernetes security for the last 8 years at Red Hat. And it's an incredible passion of mine. Any of you that I may have met or spoken with, you'll know that there is so much that we do at Red Hat to enable our customers to meet their security requirements, that the conversations can just continue and continue and continue. So I'm particularly excited this year at Summit. There's so much, but to see the additional investments that we're making and talking about in shifting security left. Containers and Kubernetes has challenged some of the ways that we as an industry have approached security in the past. When you are deploying containerized apps to Kubernetes, while it's technically possible to patch a running container, doing so is not best practice, and doing so actually could risk the loss of that patch. Because Kubernetes OpenShift, it's going to monitor if an instance goes down of your deployed app, it's going to be redeployed from the image. This means that DevOps and DevSecOps are particularly important when adopting containers and Kubernetes. You need to manage your pipeline and automate it as much as possible so that you can rebuild and redeploy quickly. And we all know that the security landscape has just been kind of expanding the security threats that we deal with. And so that agility of addressing security issues, again, is super important, which means shifting security left. So the more we can provide security information early to our app dev teams, break down those silos between app dev, operations, and security teams to help ensure that issues are addressed early in the process and also, with good information. So this also means runtime security remains important, right? New threats show up all the time. You may need to learn about them after you've deployed your application, not just in that CI/CD process. And of course, because there's now so much emphasis on CI/CD, we need to secure that pipeline as well. That's even more important. So I'm also really excited that we've got AI coming. I think it too creates opportunities and challenges. We now have the opportunity for generative AI to help our developers understand what security issues they may be dealing with and how to address those, to write code, to fix those. At the same time, we need to figure out how do we oversee the generated AI, right? How do we help ensure that it's good code? Since there's always been, some poorly written code out there, we need to ensure that we monitor the generated code for best practices. And then, of course, predictive AI is going to be really helpful in the runtime space, analyzing for issues before they're discovered, before they're identified, and again, providing guidance. So much that we're investing in. And the openness is really critical, back to that monitoring element. The only way we can monitor the AI is through the openness that Red Hat invests in.
There's no bad code. We're going to go fix it later, right? We're going to come back to that, right?
There's code that could be improved.
There we go. So trust and security are core to who we are at Red Hat. Being able to enforce that security through policy and automation is really part of that success. Kaete, can you talk about your role in the Ansible organization and talk about the challenges introduced with AI and automation and what we can or should be doing in terms of how we bring that innovation into the Ansible portfolio?
Absolutely. I'm Kaete Piccirilli, and I've been a part of the Red Hat team and a part of Ansible since 2016, and it has been incredible to see just the growth and the interests and the ingenuity and the creativity around automation as a whole. Last year, we introduced Ansible Lightspeed as a part of our offering, and you have the ability to interact with a large language model through a natural language prompt, which creates a lot of value. We've heard from a lot of our customers and a lot of our users that oftentimes a barrier to being able to scale automation within organizations is the skills. And so if you are able to utilize generative AI capabilities, you can grow and faster get some value out of your automation. But it doesn't come without some challenges, right? That's reality. The wonderful thing that I think that Red Hat has been doing within communities around AI is addressing the concerns around what comes from generative AI capabilities and large language models. And we've really been at the forefront of thinking about the future of that. One thing that we've heard with our users and our contributors and our customers is how do we integrate knowing that what the AI is doing is right? We all have real lives in enterprise IT, and those are things like risk and compliance and policies that you have to kind of interact with. What we're working on is how do we actually integrate what your policies exist in your organizations and maintain your compliance through either when you create your automation or when your automation is run. It can think about how do you actually apply risk and compliance and making sure that you're doing what you want it to do. I'm the automation person up here, so I can sort of say this, right? AI and automation are almost the same, right? AI is machines automating machines, right? And so as a foundation, we have to really think about what can AI do for us, and then how do we actually maintain that in our organizations, at scale. It gets more complex every day, and so the more we can abstract out that complexity through automation, will just make all of us and our teams and our organizations better every day. I think the amazing thing that we can do here is work together. Everything that you do from a contribution standpoint, whether you're a user or a contributor, allows you to influence the future of what we're thinking about here today. And I think that's one thing that I think is a great takeaway.
Yeah. Together, we really do unlock what is next. And so Chris Wright mentioned Instruct Lab at the end of the keynote, and Mo is here to talk about that wonderful innovation. I think has a great personal story about community and how young a contributor can be to actually contribute to unlocking the openness of AI.
Yeah, and just to introduce myself, I'm Mo Duffy. I had started at Red Hat as an intern in 2004. Okay, my heart bleeds red. I guess it would anyway. But what's important to me about working at Red Hat, it excites me about Red Hat, is the upstream community focus that we have and our commitment to open source and being open and being collaborative. So AI kind of terrified me when it first started because it's like, well, how do you be open and collaborative with it? So I was really excited to get involved with the Instruct Lab project from the beginning. The way that kind of rolled about is I had been working on Pullman Desktop, and we started working on tooling that had something to do with AI. And I got sort of up to speed on how AI worked. And then we started getting involved in this project called Instruct Lab. And I was kind of on the ground trying to get the initial prototypes going. And as Chris mentioned, it's basically, it lets you contribute to an AI model in a way that models how Linux works, where you have something out there and then people can try it out, they can fix bugs, they can contribute back upstream. What had concerned me about AI from the start is basically, number one, you need like massive resources, exotic hardware, lots of money. And that doesn't really translate to an open worldwide community of contributors where you just need your laptop and the kernel source code, right? So what Instruct Lab does is enables anybody. You don't need to be a data scientist. You don't need to be a developer. You don't even need to be necessarily technical. And you can use your domain expertise, whether that is, say, my daughter Margaret, being really good at coming up with funny puns, to, something more specialized, like a very deep academic subject, let's say anthropology. I don't know. So the very first, we use a pull request-based model for Instruct Lab to take contributions that go upstream into the model when we do our regular builds. And we needed a PR number one for, skills and knowledge. So my 8-year-old daughter, Margaret, basically in her little Red Hat notebook, wrote out a bunch of little jokes. I think she had 7 or 8 jokes. And using the Instruct Lab approach, we formatted her jokes into a markdown, not markdown, a YAML format. And then once you feed that YAML into Instruct Lab, it uses something we call synthetic data generation. So it talks to a teacher model, looks at the, again, like, is 8 examples of jokes going to move a large language model? No. But you feed it into a larger model, and it comes up with the synthetic examples. So you could take that base of 8 jokes and build it into hundreds or thousands. That's enough to move a model. So her jokes, she had funny jokes. There were puns. There was one about, like, why does Peter Pan always fly and never stop? Because he never lands. Like, those kind of, but the thing about it is it takes the examples of jokes that she provided, and it looks at the latent knowledge that the model was pre-trained, and it kind of pulls out, oh, now that I know what jokes are, oh, look, I have this in my pre-trained data, I have this in my pre-trained data, and it's able to sort of categorize that stuff and then use it on the basis. So anyway, long story short, we fed it in Margaret's jokes, and what came out was a completely novel joke that she had not told about nacho cheese. Like, how do you know this cheese isn't yours? It's nacho cheese. And that was really like, before that, when we tried on the same model, when it wasn't tuned with my daughter's jokes, we asked it, tell me a funny joke. And it was like, knock, knock, email template. So we definitely improved it. So it's just exciting that, like, an 8-year-old could move a large language model, and then that skill could be moved forward in subsequent versions of the model. And, like, the fact that we've gone from these models just being sort of pushed out by a single entity and nobody being able to contribute, to now we have a model based on all of the Git processes of contributing upstream that we're already familiar with, is just amazing to me. And I'm very excited to see where this goes.
And that really is what open source is about, is democratization, allowing anyone to be able to contribute. And we are at an inflection point within technology around AI. And we really do believe at Red Hat it has to be done from an open way. I was on a panel a couple months ago at MetLife, and one of the technologists there was talking about AI is really just data. Data is really our stories. And those stories really tell the diversity of our world. And it's so important for us to be able to have the capability to train these models with the data, understand what data was trained within those models. Please come to the Instruct Lab Lounge at the Expo Hall when it opens on Tuesday and do your own PR and check it out. We want to hear how it's going. We want this to run wild and take off and get the feedback from the community. Now, all this wouldn't be possible without controlling the risks within the ecosystem. And as we're moving very fast within innovation, there's some things that really need to stay the same and be foundational. And I'd be remiss in not mentioning, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CoreOS. Those are the foundations of what all of this is built on and will continue to be built on. And so, Anna, if you can talk about what we're doing in RHEL, not only to accelerate the innovation, but to also keep the security and trust that we expect out of our portfolio and products.
Thank you, Erin. I would love that. My name is Anna Syed. If you speak Arabic, you know that last name means leader, but if you don't speak Arabic, you're going to mispronounce it, and it's going to mean fisherman or happy, and that's cool. You can call me any of those. I'd be honored. I work as a senior engineering manager here on RHEL, and my focus is lifecycle. So the people in my organization, we focus heavily on CentOS Stream. We love CentOS Stream. We contribute to the CentOS integration SIG to help our partners, our customers, our users, our vendors get their software working early and well-tested on RHEL sources. We're also responsible for the tooling that you use to upgrade your operating system at scale, in place, and securely. We finally also produce tooling to help you migrate from one kind of Linux to another kind of Linux, hopefully RHEL. But that's kind of one part of my life. To talk about RHEL stability today, we're going to talk about my other job, and that's I'm a single mom of 5 kids. So I brought all of them with me to Denver because what else am I going to do? Yesterday morning, we're leaving Detroit about 5 in the morning. They're doing my head in. And so I think we have to play a game. Okay, the game is going to be you guys look out the window without talking, and every time you see something that has a computer inside of it, or it could have a computer inside of it, then I will put $1 in the Syed Kids Souvenir Fund. So this needed a very quick redo because like every car has a computer in it. So I walked it back a little bit and it became, every unique thing that could have a computer inside of it, I'll give you $1, kiddos. Okay, so we're driving from Detroit to the airport. It's about a half-hour drive, and they start seeing stuff. They see cars, trains, airplanes, the gas station, the traffic lights, the speed camera thingy. We were not speeding. They saw it, though. We drove by the hospital, and they remembered, like, the doctors and the nurses have those little tablets that they check you in on. Okay. So long story short, we get to the airport. They found, like, 25 unique things. The souvenir fund has $25 in it. Every kid is going to get a souvenir, probably, I think. Fine. But part of being a parent is this constant navigation of excitement and anxiety. And so I'm thinking about how pervasive all these computer systems they've seen in the world around us are. I'm thinking, well, it's beautiful how this enriches our lives, how our lives even come to depend on this. And it's also so incredibly frightening to think, what could happen when this goes wrong? And this is why I work on RHEL. This is why I love RHEL. It's because of the way that we build it. The way that we build it lets us ensure that it is stable. We do integration testing constantly, and we don't break ABI compatibility because of our commitment to testing. We also build RHEL openly. It's not just our sources that are open. CentOS Stream sources are RHEL sources, and they are open. But our machinery that we use to build RHEL, it used to be all behind the scenes. It's open now, too. If you've seen those T-shirts that say my code is open, we could make a new version now that says, and so is my build system. That's incredible. Finally, what else excites me about the stability that RHEL can offer to us is how continuously we do these things. We build constantly, we test constantly, we can react constantly, we adapt constantly, so that any given time you want to build RHEL, what I'm giving you is safe for you, safe for my kids, safe for all of these systems that are built on top of this platform. That's really what I can say about the future of RHEL. This week, I think you're going to hear a lot about AI and about innovation and about taking RHEL up to the solar system and down to the bottom of the ocean. And what I can promise you from the RHEL DevOps side of the house is that we're building you a platform that is stable enough for you to stand on and reach the stars.
Wonderful. Yes. So I encourage all of you to come seek us out, whether it be today during the community day or on the expo hall, all this week. We're open. We want to hear your ideas. We want to hear your struggles. We want to talk about how we can make this community even better. So thank you, and let's have a great summit.